Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc., the show where the writers are fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, but Lance is in net with a glove save with a piece about the Flyers winning in spite of themselves. A guardian of the blue paint turned writer pens another awesome Flyers piece, and what a difference a year makes as we get into another great episode.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, Steel Flyers. How you doing, Lance?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. If I was any better, I'd be you.
Ah,
Yeah, man. I am fired up tonight. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. How about this, folks? Congratulations to Hockey Writers Inc. You get the salute for the 12th week in a row for Bleacher Reports. Wow. Thank you guys very much. That's a big thank you to Jamie Bascow and the Flyers Nitty Gritty Group. Thank you very much for posting that out there and getting us, helping us to get us out there and all that. So thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. That gets a lot of eyes on this, and we really much appreciate that. So thank you very much. Lance, man, you were busy this week.
a little bit.
Got us some good ink to go through tonight, huh?
I hope so.
Oh, I think you do. Oh, yeah. All right. We're going to get into it here, folks. We got a lot of stuff to get into tonight, and we're going to break down two great articles that Mr. Lance Green, the writer extraordinaire, has put out on FlyersNittyGritty.com this past week. As we usually do on our show, we usually like to break down a couple of articles that Lance puts out, and they usually always pertain to great things about the Flyers, whether it be about the future, the past, or the present Flyers. So let's get right into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right? You got your mouthpiece spit out, right? So you can talk trash.
Never
right?
even wore one ever.
That's what I mean, right? Okay, yeah. Here we go. All right. Article number 1. Although the Flyers are winning games, their defensive weakness is becoming more apparent. And that has become very evident, especially over the last few games since this piece was written. And I have to say, I am slightly worried. Would be a good way to put it. Slightly worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flyers, look, they really kind of just haven't addressed that replacing Niskanen issue. And I think that you really point that out. And they really just haven't, have they?
No, and it's hard to. I mean, Niskanen was a solid defenseman for sure, and he fit that role playing with Provorov to a T. Last season, I think he averaged 21 minutes and 54 seconds of ice time.
Yeah, something
So
like
that's
that.
that's some big numbers to fill, and that's some big skates to fill as well. So it's kind of hard with the decisions that they made to bring back a 33-year-old Justin Braun and bringing in a younger defenseman in Eric Gustafsson, but a left-handed defenseman at that, who I think they could have done without either, guys. Like I said, we before on this show many times, we
Yeah.
have the depth in
Yeah.
the system, and we have guys signed to contracts on the defensive blue line already, waiting for their chance. And to take Justin Braun, a third pairing defenseman last season, and place him on the first line with Provorov and expect him to be able to skate with the likes of some Connor McDavids and stuff that Provorov has to see, and Crosby and Ovechkins. That's kind of a far stretch for me, guys. That's a lot to expect out of a defenseman of Braun's caliber. I think he was well suited playing with Robert Hagg last season, and it worked out for the most part. But
Yeah.
this is a lot to ask for someone of his stature of this at this time in his career.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Look, I agree with you 100%. We're both scratching our heads on some of the moves here that Fletcher made, especially, in the off season here. And you pointed out in the article, and frankly, We do not agree with what Mr. Fletcher has done, especially with bringing in the likes of Gustafson and then re-signing Braun. We, I mean, look, you pointed it out. We both agree with the cavalcade of defensive depth that the Flyers have. It's like they wasted $6 million.
Well, yeah, 4.5, I believe. No, that's what yeah, 1.8 and for Braun, and then 3 for this season for
3-5,
Gustafson.
right?
So
Or
yeah,
three
yeah,
two, 3 or 3-5, right, for Gustafson this year.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's tough. Where that could have been spent on a lot of different guys that I think were more suited, right hand shots even that I pointed out in the article,
Yep.
to get us through this 1 year until some guys like a Cameron York or Igor Zumala are ready to take over in possibly a top 6 role. So it it seems money wasted, especially when we still have a guy like Ghost, who's a left-hand shot defenseman like Gustafson, that plays a similar style game to Gustafson as well, still on there on the roster, and us having to pay him $4.5 million to do so, to just sit there. Um, he's off COVID protocol or whatever he was on, and he's yet to be, really put into the lineup. Mark Friedman's making a run back at it. I don't know as any long stretch of time is going to see him play. They need to do something a different.
Yeah, I get you, but as far as from what I've been able to ascertain, Shane Gostisbehere was released from the COVID list on Friday afternoon, and did not travel with the team to Boston because they had traveled on Thursday and then they were staying up there, right?
Right.
And so he is expected to be with the team when they come back to Philadelphia after the game in Boston on Saturday night. Okay, so he is expected to rejoin the team at that point. So I'm excited to see that.
I'm
Uh,
I'm excited to see that as well. Him 100%. So he says now. Last season he struggled coming back from yet another knee surgery and everything. So I'm excited to see what he can do. But at the same time, I don't know if AV is. AV had him sitting out a lot last year, even when he was healthy. Had him up sitting in a suit. So I don't know if he wasn't completely healthy at that point or
that
what,
could have been some of the issue, I think, maybe.
possibly. But his defensive liabilities, when he wants to be in the offensive zone more than protecting his own zone, is something that had him sitting up there as well, I believe.
Okay, but then what really kind of just makes my head scratch is that, well, you went out and got Gustafson, who plays a very almost exactly the same type of game. Um, I don't understand that. I just don't.
I don't either. I don't either. That's why I suggested in the article, that he was a 2.0 of Ghost. I think they want that power play catalyst on that blue line to rifle some
Yeah,
shots in,
because it's not
like Ghost
Provorov.
used to be. Yeah, it's not
Because it's not
Provorov.
Provorov. Uh,
Provorov can skate the puck in. He can take a nice
yeah,
shot when it needs to be, but it's not that blue line shot that's just a howitzer into the
yeah,
back of the net. And
exactly.
Gustafson has that, but just like Ghost, it's where's that defense? Where's that, as well as you got to jump up into the play and take a shot, when you can, you also got to double time it back to defend in your own zone, and neither of them tend to do that.
Exactly, exactly. So here's the conundrum then, right? Because they took a D man, Samuel Moran, and
Right.
who this is what I don't understand. So they took Sam Moran, who was a D man, they're making him play wing. He would be much better at playing D than he would be playing wing, and they would keep like Gustafson and or Gostisbehere as D and not put them at wing.
Right.
Okay. So maybe it's just me, as an amateur observationist.
So my thoughts on that is they want to get more physical up front. Um, Robert Hagg is a little physical on the backside and all
Okay,
that,
I
but
get
we
it.
don't really have a banger up front anymore. We don't have Wayne Simmons, up there getting hits in the offensive zone, getting those turnovers in the
Get it.
offensive zone to
Yeah.
stay in the offensive zone. So that's a big thing. Our biggest hitter is NAK, um, and that's saying something, guys.
Yeah.
They want to see somebody like Moran succeed, but it's too quick of a turnover for me. He has a great shot, and he can obviously lay the big hit, and obviously protect his teammates to the best of anybody in the league, in my mind. But I think that transition time in the team scrimmage, I saw him not doing the things a wing is supposed to do. When the play is breaking out from the defensive zone, I saw him lingering in the center
I
of
was
the
just gonna
ice.
say, yeah, he needs
Not
to be up in the play.
right. Well, he's more defensively minded, yes, as you're alluding to, but when the defense is trying to leave the zone, they're looking for someone to pass to. Now that center is already in the center of the ice, waiting for a puck and circling around to kind of stay open. But the wings have got to be on the boards. They got to have somebody there, and he didn't know
Provide
that.
that outlet.
That's right to provide that outlet for a fast break out of and an easy one along the boards. It's not so dangerous. You don't always want to shoot it up the center of the ice if it gets picked off. That's an
Yeah.
easy
Back the
one
other
on
way.
0 back the other way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I didn't see that from Morantz. And that's things, if they're going to keep him in that wing position, that he's going to have to continue to learn
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna have
and
to learn
to
it, yeah.
stay on that boards so that he can provide that outlet pass. And he's just not there. I mean, obviously, it's only a week or two of him playing wing, and it's not going to come overnight.
No, no. And defensive players don't come overnight either. You know what I mean? When you're coming up through the ranks as a D, it takes you a little longer sometimes because it's a much harder position, I believe.
Not everybody's a Provorov, yes.
That's what I mean. Not everybody's a Niskanen or a Provorov or whatever. Okay, so you did mention somebody that the Flyers could possibly add to the roster that could help us out, in your opinion. And would you like to tell the folks what you said in your article?
Right. It's going to be a controversial, you know, pick. In my mind, I think a guy like Dustin Bufflin is the only guy left out there. A lot of the other ones that I alluded to in the article are signed already.
Are
They're
gone.
gone. They're gone. Tyson Berry is a right-hand shot defenseman
Yep,
we could have had.
gone,
Sammy Vananen is a
gone.
right-hand shot. Travis Hamonic, Cody Ceci is one as
Yep.
well. All those were right-hand shot defensemen that signed for less than Gustafson, who we could have used that had previous played in a top six role. But none of them are left to bring in. Now, obviously, I like and a big proponent for Igor Zumla, but I don't think the team thinks that he's there yet. I think that they want him to see some top line minutes in the AHL now that it's hopefully going to get going here in a couple of weeks, fingers crossed. And the only guy out there that I can see is Dustin Bufflin. And for one thing, he has a shot from the point. He can carry it in like with the best of them. He was a winger. He has the size. He has the mass. He lays people out, and he has a Stanley Cup ring to bring that something that Niskanen has, or had, that veteran presence that we don't really have. Provorov is not a rookie anymore, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's a veteran either.
He's definitely not a grizzled veteran. I mean,
Right.
he's
He's not a grizzled
not even
veteran that can.
25 yet.
Right. He'll stay out on the ice until you call him off. and he'll be ready to go in the next 30 seconds after sitting on the bench but we kind of need that veteran presence that, Justin Braun is great. He's been in the league for a while, but he's not been there and done that and have a ring and been doing that on a top line like Dustin Byfuglien has. And
Okay.
I wouldn't even want him now per se. I would rather see us play the kids for a while until Felipe Myers can come back. But I think there's that playoff push again where things are already going to be more physical than they are in a normal season because of the way it's structured, us playing the Penguins and the Devils and the Islanders and the Rangers so many times, rivalry games. It's getting more physical, and we can start to see that as the season goes on. Now, Dustin Byfuglien is that guy that could do that. If you're not going to have Sam Morin be able to get into the lineup, then you're going to need somebody else there. So that's where my mindset was on this, and I don't want to see the team even try to pick him up. Let him heal from his ankle surgery that he had that much more, and maybe throw $1 million at him come a week or two before the trade deadline and get him into practice and say, hey, let's go take another quick month or two run at a Stanley Cup for you.
Okay, I get where you're going with this. Okay, and we have talked about many articles that you have written over the past several weeks about the need for the Flyers to pick up that veteran presence. And we talked about quite a few players, which you've even mentioned in this past article, of players that we could have picked up, of players that were better suited for the Flyers instead of even Gustafsson, for that matter. You know what I mean? Or even re-signing Braun, for that matter, would have been better for the team. But I'm gonna have to go with a hard no on this whole Dustin Byfuglien thing. I completely agree with you. He has the size, he has the shot, he has the tenacity, but to me, in my opinion, from everything that I've seen, there's a lot of quit in that boy. Okay, and I have a hard time with that. Okay. And but that's just my opinion. Okay, just my opinion. Okay.
I'll have a rebuttal on it. Finish it. Yeah.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Okay. Like I said, I have a hard time with people that care more about the name on the back than the emblem on the front. And it just seems like he carries himself as that type of person. And I really don't feel that that's the type of leadership that you need to bring into the Flyers at this particular time. Just my opinion. So, all right.
Yeah, you're definitely entitled to that.
Let me have it.
My thing of it is there was a huge trade that just went on today in the hockey world.
Yeah.
And it contained two different other players that played for the Jets. Patrick Laine and Jack, a player that I wrote about saying that the Flyers should snag while he was in this, Jack Ressel-Voyevich. Now,
and he was another one that we talked about too.
Exactly, and I wrote about because both those players, big name players, were dissatisfied in Winnipeg. So the whole reason Dustin Byfuglien turned down $6-7 million to play his last year in his contract is because he chose not to be in Winnipeg anymore, guys. That's why I think they had some quit, like you said, in it. I don't think that place is too well to their players. They don't care about what their players think. They don't care about winning. They care about putting a decent team out there enough to get butts in the seats and makes money. And that's maybe you're looking at it as he quits, but maybe that's because he cares enough and wants to win that much more and would rather not play than deal with a place like that.
All right. Well, since you brought up the big trade and the whole 9 yards, what did Pierre-Luc Dubois do the other night during the game? He basically quit on the ice.
He quit.
Okay. Now, look, you played organized hockey for a very long period of time.
Yep.
I played organized football for a very long period of time. And You, you don't do that.
You don't do that.
You
And
don't do
he
that.
and he swore he once he asked to be traded that he wasn't going to do that. Um, my only sticking up for him, uh, I think there's been a lot of players in his shoes that have played for Tortorello
Hmm.
that just aren't good with his coaching style and want to get out from underneath of him at any cost.
Oh,
And
trust me, I'm
it's a
with
shame
you.
it's a shame that he did that and
Yeah,
chose to do that,
yeah,
but maybe he was just, forcing their hand and it seems that it worked.
exactly. Because but Columbus came out and said, "Hey, look, man, it doesn't matter who you go to. We're going to match whatever offer you're going to get." So that basically tied his hands. So
Yes.
what was Dubois supposed to do? And then they basically said, "Well, here's the contract. Well, either you don't sign the contract, and then if you don't play, well, that's the only leverage that the player has at
Right.
that point. And then if he doesn't play, well, now he's not getting paid because now he's not playing,
Right.
right? You know, because he didn't have a contract. You know what I'm
All
saying?
players want to play, but Tortorello in this day and age, I mean, I've had coaches like a Tortorello, and it fired me up, and I liked playing for a coach like that. But that's me, and that's a whole different era of people nowadays. People nowadays and kids growing up nowadays aren't too keen to that.
You can't
Um,
be up in the face of kids like that anymore today because kids have been basically, and we talked about this on our off the wall hockey show just the other day, especially about Pierre-Luc Dubois. Look, we John thought and agreed that Tortorella was doing the best thing that he could possibly do as the coach, and I saw why he was doing it, but I disagree the fact that he put it out on the in the media.
mhm,
Okay, that's my biggest thing right there. Okay, when a player comes out and asks to be traded and asks to keep everything in house, and then because the coach doesn't get the information that he wants from the player or feels that he's not getting the information that he wants from the player, now he's going to go to the press and spew it all out into the open. Okay, well now not only did you completely and utterly devalue Pierre Luc Dubois to any other team coming in, right? Because now you made an example of him and you alienated how many players on the team because of what Tortorella did.
right. And I think, that like that's why I say that error, and for the Flyers, we had
Yep.
Keenan, and Keenan was a amazing coach in his time, but I don't think he would be successful nowadays.
Agreed.
Um, so with that, I think you need to be like a AV. Now, if you look at what he did when he thought he came in with a new system and certain guys, JVR wasn't buying into it. So he downplayed him. He cut his minutes. He sat him. Ghost, same
Same
thing.
thing. Yep.
He made him sit up in the press box that got so bad. He called
Yep.
him out after practices. He called him out after the game, but he did it tactfully. Um, Voracek even.
Yep.
He's look at what Voracek is doing now. Now he's got his 700th career
Point.
point,
Yeah.
and he's really
Better,
having a
much
great
better
season.
two-way game,
Right,
much better
he's playing a
terrific
much
player.
better two-way game, and James Van Riemsdyk seems to be doing much of the same. He's hitting, he's being more physical, and that's when he's most effective.
Right.
Now, now they see that AV system is working, and if they're going to be that kind of player, they're going to see less minutes, and that's
Yeah.
the effective way to handle these younger guys nowadays.
Yeah, I'm
And
with you.
I just don't think that Tortorello and management like Winnipeg's is that successful, and it hasn't been. I mean, you have a guy like Patrick Laine, and before him, Teemu Solani, that wanted to
Yeah.
leave, Winnipeg. So obviously there's problems, and that was different errors when Winnipeg, since was the Atlanta
Right.
Thrashers and all that or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
blah 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 blah. But you know, that's the big difference here. You gotta, different era of players, and I think that these kids aren't just going to put up with that.
I agree 100%. And you have to look at approaches like what Rod Brindamore is doing. You have to look at approaches like what AV is doing, what Barry Trotz is doing.
Making it
The,
fun.
yeah, those guys, even though they're making guys accountable, but they're making it fun. You know what I mean? Look,
Yes.
I understand why we're talking about this because the Flyers are definitely in a serious hole right now, especially with Myers out, okay, and Friedman coming in, and then potentially, you know, uh, Gostisbehere coming back and everything like that. And Philadelphia is kind of in a bit of a they've kind of made their bed and now they're kind of lying in it.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
backed
they
themselves into a corner with these two signings that they really didn't need to do. They should have went out there and but given that they should have went out there and got a right-hand shot defenseman, but they only need one for 1 year. And that's another reason why I
yeah,
said to go to Dustin Bufflin for just a playoff push to have him come back because they don't need him past that. Now, I was a big proponent for a guy like Kevin Shannikirk to come in. He's won a couple cups
oh
and
yeah,
everything like that, but he signed a 3 year deal. The
yeah,
Flyers didn't need him for a 3 year
3 year
deal.
deal. No, no, no.
So,
And
so
I
that
agree.
kind of
Shattenkirk would have been a good player to come
yeah,
into. Yeah,
so, but that's the thing. That's what probably tied Chuck Fletcher's hand as well. Is is that he only really needed a guy for 1 year. Not
but then
everybody's
why?
going to want to
Okay,
sign a 1 year deal.
okay. Well, so then why did you bring in two guys for multiple years?
Exactly.
I don't
Exactly.
get it. Maybe it's me.
Exactly.
So
Uh,
now they're in a bed now, and they're going to have to lie in it. And guess what? It's going to have to be next man up because there's no money. You know, they're not, you know, right up against the cap space, but they can't really afford to spend any kind of money because any kind of money that they spend now is you know they need as much money as they can save for next year because Carter Hart's going to come due.
and Travis Sanheim.
That's right. I mean, anyway. So, all right. I think we both agree that the Flyers are going to have to pretty much just next man up.
It looks
Bring
that
him
way.
in.
It
Yeah.
looks that way, and I would love to see a guy like Igor Zumla get a chance. Friedman's doing okay, but I think he's best suited for a bottom pairing role, and that's his ceiling, and that's okay because Robert Haig is making a darn good living out of it, and it is one of the best in the league
And I think that
playing
would
in
be a
that.
good pairing too. I think I like that
Yes,
pairing with Haig
that
and
is a
Friedman.
shutdown pairing for sure.
Exactly.
That would shore up that defense when you have that third or fourth line out there and wouldn't have to worry about trying to hurry back on Provorov or
Yeah,
Travis Sanheim and Myers when he comes back.
I'm with you on that for
And that's
sure,
what
man.
that's what you definitely want from a bottom pairing.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, hey, man, I'll tell you what. How about if we segue into the second great piece? And this is the crux of the whole episode right here, because this is what a difference a year makes. And we can say that about a lot of the players and a lot of the things that's happened with the Flyers this past year, from last year to this year, right? Just from now, just if you go back 1 year from right now, okay, and the amount of things that have changed with the Flyers in that period of time. In your second great piece that you posted out on flyersnittygritty.com this week, Lance, you talk about what a difference a year makes when it comes to the young 2018 draft pick. And I'm going to say it because I love saying this guy, Joel Farabee. Oh, man, I'm telling you what. We both have kind of fawned over him a little bit in our recent past shows. I mean, why not? I mean, the kid's good. Come on. What? He's sporting a new number this year. He's got, speaking of some other numbers that he's sporting, some increased in size for Mr. Joel, right?
Definitely
Uh,
is.
and he's gotten the message, hasn't he?
I think so. He's a good kid. He came from the United States Developmental Program, and he was very successful there. Had some big productions numbers there, and he spent a very short time with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms in the AHL. Uh,
Very short time.
Very short, just a couple of games it took him or took the team for him to play in down there to realize that this kid has what it takes to be an NHL player last year, So
Agreed.
that is amazing. And the only thing that really slowed him down last year was his weight or his size, for
Yep.
that matter. He
Yep.
needed to put some time in the gym, and that is what he did
Yep.
over the off season. All
Wow.
right. He was 160 some pounds. Now he's 185, 186 pounds.
That's
Okay,
that's
so
dedication there,
just a
folks.
summer's worth of work, and he's really put on that muscle mass. Now, just his size is great, but it's contributing to other factors in his game now. All right.
Exactly.
He's
Exactly.
he's he's able to battle in the boards a lot better. As before, he would go in there and they'd be like, "Get out of
Yeah,
here,
that
kid."
yeah, that was
You
kind of
know,
his weakness because
right,
well, he was weak.
right. He was weak. He was undersized for the NHL. He was successful in, you know, the developmental program leagues and playing against college players, where he, spent some time in college as well. He was successful there. He was successful when he went to the AHL, but the NHL is where the big boys play, and he just didn't have that size.
Yeah, I mean, he
So
was skilled. He has the
yes,
skill, he had the talent, but he just didn't have that
right, and
size.
and this is the same problem that Morgan Frost is running into.
I
He
have
is
a feeling, yeah.
he is undersized,
I have a
and
feeling he's going to be hitting the weight room this coming year.
he needs to hit the weight room. He's getting pushed around too much, and he spent 2 games before he got hurt this season. So I think that size is a contributing factor to him being hurt. It may be a freak thing, but if he had a little bit more muscle mass on, maybe that wouldn't happen. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
Right.
right,
But see, but you've played though,
yeah,
right? And you know the rigors of what it's like to be out there on the ice, and especially, I mean, look, the average hockey player is 6 foot, 200 pounds.
right.
Okay, that's the average. So if you're even 15 pounds off and 3 inches shorter, that's a huge difference right there.
You're giving up
Whether
a
you
big
think so or
disadvantage
not,
there.
you might be able to bench press 500 pounds, and that other guy might only be able to bench press 200 pounds, but he still got you by 3 inches and 20 pounds.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a big difference, and I agree. I think that was a huge step for him for this offseason to jump into the weight room and do that work. You know what I mean? Because look at how it's paying off for him now.
It definitely is paying off. And besides just those boards battles, he's more in control of the puck. He's willing to hold on to it that extra second that he wasn't last season. And in doing so, it allows the other players that are on the ice with him to make that cut around another guy and get open. And then he feeds them a beautiful pass to their stick blade. And most times it ends up in the back of the net. And that
Exactly.
is that is the difference, guys, that size can allow him the confidence to be able to do that because now he's stronger in his stick handling and can fight off that player and their advances in that measure. He's a stronger skater. He's more inapt to go around the net with the puck and be able to fight those players off in
Yeah,
doing
which he's
so
done now more successfully this year.
more successfully and more frequently for that matter as well. So all those little key parts to that game is combining it to make it that much better.
When it's harder for an opposition to get you off of the puck, that's definitely a difference. And that's what I think has really made the difference in his game this year. And that's what has led to him with the confidence that he's able to maintain the possession of the puck. More so because of the size that he's put on, because of the mass that he's put on now, he's able to use that one arm hand or whatever to fend off a defender while still being able to, have his hand on the stick and the puck and everything else, and or just being able to put his body in a better position to absorb that oncoming player and then still shield from the puck, the
Right.
opposition from the puck. You know what I mean? And that's where you get those winning the board battles. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And it also has given him a little bit more oomph. So he's able to rattle the boards a little bit more. He's been able to kind of throw it around a little bit more too. So that's
Yeah.
another aspect that we're starting to see more with him in his game, is that he's kind of hitting a little bit more too. And I really like that they put him with Giroux.
Yeah, the best thing that AV does in my mind is he sets people up to succeed. And what I mean by that, you can look at like what you just mentioned with Joel Farabee, with who he's playing with, and with Morgan Frost. What did they
Perfect.
do when Couturier went down? Did they stick
Yeah.
him on the fourth line? No, they did
Nope.
not.
Nope.
They stuck him with some quality players that will
He looked
help
good.
him and lift him up to succeed.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a piece tomorrow. I got some notes and stuff of trying to get a player from another team that doesn't do that and
Okay.
hasn't done that for some time, that we might be able to help along the way here more so. So,
Okay. Oh, that's awesome, dude. You heard it here, folks, man. You heard it here first. Where we got inside on a new piece coming out from the writer extraordinaire. Oh, jiggy, 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 jiggy. Okay. We fawned over him enough, I think. Joel, look, we all believe that Joel's going to be a great player in the NHL. He's definitely slotted in and fitting very well with where he's playing, especially uh, with Giroux. I like his game. I like the fact that he went into the weight room and was able to take care of things. Coots is going to be out extended period of time now. You think his role is going to be a little bit more increased? He's going to be in more situations now. He's going to be, extending more responsibility for Mr. Joel.
I mean, yes, but I mean, he's not a center, so he's not going to take on that role, obviously. But
Obviously, yeah.
obviously, other players have got to fill in, as they have done with so many frequent, or seems to be early on in games, injuries happening, where especially the defense has had to
Yeah.
step up and play with just five, or with Couturier going out, they had to step up and play more minutes to make do and switch around line mates and stuff to make it work. So
Yeah.
kudos to them for being able to do that and still have the record that they have
Yeah, especially on the
with
fly too.
on the fly. The Bruins won the President's Cup last year, so they're no easy team to go up against for sure. They definitely lost some pieces on the defense, on the back end for sure, but they are still quality offensive players on that team, with the most dangerous still being out in
Yeah.
Pasternak. So
Yeah, I'm with
they're
you. I'm
only
with
going
you.
to get better.
I'm with you. Look, I think we could spend an entire show just talking about Joel Farabee. I mean, and what he brings to the table. I mean, at such a young age, do you think there's going to be a letter on his sweater?
I don't know. I think there's some guys there. I've heard talks of Travis Konechny is obviously a step or so ahead of him, and he always plays that type of hard nosed hockey, and
Yeah, I'm with you.
uh, eh, with that, so he may get it before a guy like Joel. And obviously, I'm a big fan of Kevin Hayes. I wasn't thrilled with the signing at the time. I didn't know a lot about him because he played, with the Jets and everything else, and elsewhere. But after seeing him come in here and doing what he did, I think Couturier may definitely get the C, and I say Hayes might keep an A, and I could see Konechny, once Giroux maybe retires, getting that other A. So I don't know. Provorov is always a good candidate for a letter. I don't know what these guys. I've been in the locker room, to interview them and stuff like that, but usually that's after they've already conversed about the practice or game and whatnot. And I haven't seen that who speaks up and all that. I have seen Farabee kind of just being all ears and trying to soak up as much as he can
Hmm.
in that
Hmm.
time I've been in there, and that's always a good thing you want to see. He's not on his own accord in there and just trying to get out and go do whatever he wants. He's taken that extra time, so he's a student of the game for sure, and he wants to be the best player that he can be. And I think another year or two might have him we'll revisit this whole letter on his
I
chest
agree.
thing.
Yep, I agree. That's why I wanted to ask you that. I just wanted to throw that out there because I think that potential might be there.
It might
And
be.
yeah, and that's why I wanted to ask you that. I think it is. I think it's going to be there. Okay, so I wanted to kind of break off of our a little bit of our normal routine here, and save the last couple minutes here of the show. That I wanted to get into a couple things here with you, and I wanted to get your opinions on a couple things about the season so far with the Flyers. So, what do you think? Are you going to be okay if I fire a couple questions at you?
Sure, let him rip.
All right, letting them rip. All right, with aforementioned Joel in the lineup full time. Do you like his game so far this year?
I definitely do. I think it's progressed like we just conversed about immensely, and he is only going to get better. I think, guys, and I kind of want to see what a Jay O'Brien might do with him when he comes up. I think they both were
Oh
the
man,
United States Developmental Program, and I think that will be a good player to see with him in the future. Um, but I don't know. There's a lot of uh, young, talented players with the team already, and one still coming up. And I'm excited to see what line combinations will come in the future. And the definitely the future is bright for the Flyers in that aspect. And Joel Farabee is going to play a big part of that, more so than I think most people think he will.
yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I'm looking forward to that as well, with especially with Tyson Forster coming in. I think, man, I'll tell you what, you get Tyson Forster, Joel Farabee in there with Jay O'Brien. I mean,
Hmm.
that could be a pretty dangerous line there. I think maybe. I don't
in
know.
in a couple of
Anyway,
years. Yeah,
yeah,
I've
boy.
I've I
Woo!
of course, Forrester, is exciting. It's a big, talented scoring winger that we so need. But I still like the Zade wisdom.
Like that game. I like that young man games too. I really.
I think that
Yeah.
he brings that grit that the Flyers so need, and I really like that. I see a lot of maybe. I don't even want to make a comparison
Do
actually
you
from
know
the
who he
Flyers
reminds me
past.
of? Do you know
Go
who he
ahead, you
reminds
shoot
me of?
first.
He reminds me of like a Scotty Lawton. Like he can play everywhere up and down the lineup. He might not be the guy that's gonna score, 100 points in the season or anything like that, but he's gonna be that guy that's always gonna be there. He's gonna be that guy that can take the face off, can take the hit, can play on the penalty kill, can be on the power play, can take those defensive zone draws, whatever, whatever, whatever. That's just kind of that's how that's kind of where I'm equating him to.
I like his versatility as well. Like Scotty Lawton, he plays the wing as well, and he does really really exciting stuff when he plays with um, more talented players than him. He
Obviously.
uh, he isn't left in the background when he plays with those guys. He pushes himself to the foreground, and that's what I like to see. He works off of them well, and he provides opportunities for them. So I think with the talent that's already there, I think he could be a nice cog in the works there for sure.
Especially in the future, for sure, for
Right,
sure.
right.
All right. The next question. The Flyers dodged a bullet with Friedman kind of being able to go there. Do you think that the injuries are finally starting to catch up with the Flyers?
I do. I really do. They've obviously Sean Couturier is a big piece and missing. You can see with how many goals they're letting in, they're missing his defensive prowess uh, out there on the penalty kills and just during normal 5-on-5 play. Felipe Myers is obviously top four, and in my mind should be a top line um, defenseman, and that hurts us as well. And with that, we've seen Morgan Frost hurt, who replaced Couture. We've seen Friedman hurt, who replaced Myers. So even their backups are replacements
Getting
are
hurt.
getting injured
Yeah,
as well. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I've seen Provy, playing more minutes, and he seems to get beaten and banged up more and more. But just
yeah,
like
yeah.
Chemo
Keeps on
Timonen,
trudging.
he keeps on coming back out there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
geez, if he could pass that on to the guys and just play
yeah.
through
Can
some
we have
injuries.
like a couple more of Provorovs? Now I would be cool with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, that's not asking for too much, is it?
No, no, just like two more. That would be cool. Yeah,
Sure.
just two more, right? Okay. So last question here, okay? And this is about as open-ended as it gets. What do you think the Flyers are going to do here? How they're going to approach the next couple of games here, especially with the injuries piling up, with Couturier being out now for an extended period of time. Myers is going to be out for an extended period of time. Frost is going to be out for an extended period of time. And now some of the younger guys are coming in. Connor Bunneman's coming in playing. Friedman's coming in. We might have Ghost coming back in the next couple of games here, whatever. So what do you think the Flyers' approach is going to be in the next couple of games?
It's hard to say. I don't think they play a more conservative game at all. I think they instead push even harder in that sense. I think AV wants them to play this style of game, and it's obviously making them successful in such a short time of him being in as the head coach. So I don't know. I think he's very creative in a sense of taking what he has and making the best of it, and has shown that he can juggle the lines and make it work,
Yeah.
even with pairings that I don't think anybody else would have even thought of trying.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And he's got an open mind. Obviously, I mean, who, like you saying, who would even think to maybe put Sam Moran on wing and try that? He's definitely going to try everything in his bag of tricks to keep them in line and make this work so they can be, competitive and stay in there for a playoff picture.
This was clearly an example of a coach coming in and instilling a system, and then not really having all the players to fit the system. And so now it seems like the Flyers are scrambling around a little bit to try to get some of those players into the system. Now I think they've been drafting them all along from Hextall back, uh, as far as who Fletcher, who's been everybody that they've been drafting everybody with that same kind of mindset of, they want everybody to be 200-foot responsible and things of that nature. So I think that the injuries are definitely catching up with the Flyers, especially these last couple of games here. You can't just take Sean Couturier out of the lineup and be like, okay, everything's cool.
Yeah.
I don't care who you put in there. You got the Selke winner last year is now sitting out. You're going to miss a lot of what he brings to the table. And so you have to replace him by committee. And then the guy that came in to help by that committee got hurt too. And we all both thought that Frost looked really well, played really well, was looking good, doing good, feeling good. You know what I mean? And then he gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the Flyers are going to have to buckle down here and really clamp things down, because if they don't, with the teams that they're going to be playing coming up, Boston again, you know what I mean, and some of the other games they got coming up here, they really need to win these games. And if you get into a hole now, it's going to be tough to climb out of, even if you lose 4 games. You know what I mean? Because every game now is a 4-point swing. You
Yeah,
know,
I definitely agree. I think that, the correct guys are stepping up, and Voracek has shown a
yep,
presence this year,
yep,
and that's
Konechny.
great. And Konechny is out there. That was the next player out of my mouth. You read my mind. And the one I want to see who has been playing good, but needs to show that he is that number 2 overall pick is Nolan Patrick.
I'm with you.
He's proven he's healthy, but this is his time to shine now, I
He
believe.
has in the first couple of games,
He
in the
definitely has.
first 3 games, but I also think he's been noticeable in
Yes.
every game that he's played so far this year. He's been winning draws.
Hmm.
He's being put into more responsible situations as AV grows more and more trust in him and sees that he's capable of excelling in those situations. You understand what I'm saying? For
Right.
the first time, I think we're seeing a second overall pick in Nolan Patrick finally. We saw flashes of it in his first year, with the team up with the club and everything like that. We saw flashes of it, but injuries and everything else, I agree. And I'll tell you, somebody else who's really been blowing me away is Oscar Lindblom.
Yes, I saw the stardom, if we can use that word.
I'll say.
Yeah, last season, he really came on. But coming back from, what he came back from, the adversity that he's shown, I didn't know. I didn't know what we were going to get. That is a big ordeal to go through for anybody. And to let alone play at a professional athlete level and on, one of the most competitive teams in the league, that that is showing me something there for sure. But you know, I still want to see a little bit more from Nolan Patrick.
Yep.
Like you said, I think AV is uh, grooming him like he should. Like my article I'm working on, the other teams don't necessarily take the time. They want them to draft. They want them to be inserted into the lineup and to be able to get it, and that's just not fair. I
Right.
think a coach needs to do just that. He needs to coach, even if that player is selected that high. It doesn't mean that
Still.
there's not going to be some kind of a learning curve,
Exactly.
and you got to think too. Patrick was with the team at some points, at some practices and stuff, but majority of the time he was away from the team. He was dealing with,
Exactly.
what he had to go through and work back from that. So he wasn't in the locker room, and AV and Chuck Fletcher, for that matter, didn't really get a strong understanding of just who he was and everything before that.
Right,
So
because it was
now,
so quick
right.
with when Fletcher and all them came in, and then Patrick was gone.
Right. So that is something that I want to see him grow even more. He's been pretty successful and he's showing flashes, like you said, this year, a little bit more frequently. But I want to see him on the stat sheet game in and game out for us. I mean, if you look at the other number two overall picks around the league, Patrick
All
Line, who
right, all
just
right,
got
all right,
traded, and
all
others,
right, all right, all right.
yeah,
Hughes and
all
in New
those, yeah,
Jersey has been freaking lighting it up, and well,
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So, all right. Look, we have there's some things to look forward to. There's some things to be a little bit worried about. We need to quit hanging Carter Hart out to dry there a little bit. You can't let those guys, especially teams like Boston, have those point blank shots like that because they're just gonna score goals and beat you every time. So, Lance, I'll tell you what, man. What do you think? We had another good one, buddy.
I think so. I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, I know. Look, anytime we get to talk about Flyers hockey, anytime we get to talk about your articles, that's a good time for me, right? I don't know about you, but
It's a
that's
good
a good.
time for me too.
There
Yeah.
you go. All right, cool. Hey, man, we got a great show for you here tonight with this one here, right here. What a difference a year makes, and we've had a lot of great things to talk about. Look forward to a sponsor coming up for us, the CCC Resorts. I'm going to have a commercial for them and all kinds of fun stuff coming out for them. So be checking them out here real soon too. Also, some really awesome news to let you guys know about Hockey Writers Inc. is guess what? On iHeartRadio. Oh yeah, it's on Spotify, it's on Spreaker. Every time now we do an episode, they will be released out as a podcast, and then you'll be able to go to the podcasting world to listen to your great Lance Green and the Hockey Raiders Inc. How about that? Woo! Can't wait,
Exciting,
man. Oh
exciting.
my gosh, how about that? Lance, my man, it's been another good one. What do you think?
I think I'm ready for next week. I just got to do some articles in the meantime.
Yeah, right. Like we're ready for next week already. All right, cool. I'm cool. I'm down with that too. Lance, thanks, man, for being on. This is great. Love doing this show with you. Love being able to talk about your articles. We're growing at the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. Hockey Writers Inc. is one of the cornerstone shows as part of the Steel Flyers All Sport Network. And man, we got all kinds of more expansion stuff coming for you, more content, more shows, and live shows coming soon. Yeah. How about that? All right, my man. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thank you very much.
Later, guys.